Mini episode 186 of the FDH Lounge is brought to you by First Down Scouting, delivering the most thorough scouting service available, uncovering the NFL stars of tomorrow. Follow them on the web at the number 1 stdownscouting.com.
The FDH Lounge. You want to schedule your life around it.
A long time ago, on a gloomy, wet Cleveland spring night, two men stand alone amidst the late-night drizzle. Their voices echo across the vacant station parking lot as they debate the merits of the great American radio show that have been missing for far too long. On that night, an idea was born. That idea became the FDH Lounge. Welcome to the FDH Lounge.
Okay, folks, wrapping up a marathon taping session here at the Orlando MGM studio. Welcome to Rick Morris and Kyle Ross, FDH Lounge mini episode number 186. It's the FantasyDraftHelp.com Insider for another NFL season, NFL Week 1, and this year, getting me the benefit of Kyle Ross going through, and I've got my week-by-week FantasyDraftHelp.com picks, so we'll be seeing if he strenuously agrees or disagrees with anything. Now, the part that you just heard going through here, the standard thing that we have every week of what the different parts are at the different positions, the guys that you don't bench no matter what, in case, in terms of them being healthy, all things being equal, you don't overmanage your team, you don't yank these guys. So I'll start with that, Kyle. The list that was just read, that the folks just heard, anybody that you strenuously agree or disagree with off of that list, whether for the course of the season or for week 1?
No, I mean, certainly everyone's got the top from Rodgers, Brady, Brees, Stafford, Newton, you agree? Eli Manning, no, I can't think of anyone that comes to mind.
Okay.
What about Matt Shaw? You think he's a situational guy?
I think he starts as situational, but he's a guy that I really do like a lot moving forward.
Miami had a good defense last. The strength is that, and that's the week 1 matchup, I guess.
And that's teaser, but yeah, I don't even have him on the list for this week, but yeah, I'll have him on the list for most weeks, I think. So that's one of the standard things that we do, is that we have that. We'll go through game by game here, just looking at the marginal plays, the guys who are not on that master list, but the guys who some weeks you start them, some weeks you don't. I've got 5 teams that are all out plays this week, that unless you have marginal, or unless they have gimmies on their team, you don't start anybody from their team. One from the game that went by already was the New York Giants. The other ones here, Cleveland, Washington, Arizona, and Minnesota. If they're not a gimme starter on those teams, and those teams are kind of short on them to begin with, you don't go with anybody. The all-ins that I like are Philadelphia, New England, Atlanta, and Green Bay. So let's just take it game by game and see where you agree and disagree. In the Chicago-Indianapolis game, Indianapolis, I like Reggie Wayne as a play here. I think he's going to be fairly decent. I'm a little queasy about going with Luck under the circumstances.
Yeah.
I regard Chicago, the only marginal guy I like for them is Bush. I think Bush and Forte are both going to be pounding in a decent amount this week.
Yeah, and when you figure they're likely to win, that's a lot of rushing yards later. I have Luck. Luck's my backup quarterback to Cam Newton on my fantasy team, but honestly, unless if something were to happen to Newton, I'm not going to probably be starting Luck. I don't think very much, except for the bye week and maybe some situational spot. I mean, even though you've got Newton on the always start list. I can't see too many times when I can start Luck over Newton. Certainly not here in week 1.
No, not
this is a little baptism by fire situation.
And you talk about baptism by fire, Philadelphia, Cleveland. I already said I got Cleveland as an all-out play and Philly all in. What that means under those circumstances, since I have on the list of guys that you would play Vic every week and that you would play, obviously, LaShawn McCoy every week, that means Brent Selleck, Deshaun Jackson, and Jeremy Maclin would be the plays for Philly.
Well, given that I know you like the Eagles big to win big here, I can't disagree. The Browns just bereft of fantasy studs.
Absolutely.
I mean, the problem is their best fantasy, I think, has got to be Trent Richardson.
And even he's going to be a game
time. But they're going to be losing here. Yeah, and that's big, obviously, and they're going to be losing here, so that's not good. Running backs on bad teams. Eesh.
Well, let's go to one here. The next one, running backs with mediocre teams. The Jets versus the Bills. Strangely enough, the only marginal plays I like in this game are the running backs on their respective teams, Sean Green and Fred Jackson.
Fred Jackson's a solid number 2 running back, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like Sean Green. though, at all. I actually, although I like the Jets to win this game, I actually like Fred Jackson because who knows where the Jets' scoring would come from.
That's true.
Got a lot of different options. I like the Jets to win the game, but I like Jackson as a better fantasy option.
Yeah, I think Jackson has a chance to have the stronger week of the two, but I like Green to some degree here. New Orleans at Washington. I already said Washington I thought was an all-out play. For New Orleans, strangely, perhaps some might say, I like the running backs here. I like Sproles and Ingram.
Yeah, when you figure that, again, they're bound to be winning, they're going to probably turn to running the ball late in the game. I can't disagree with that.
Okay. New England.
I don't really like anything on the Washington side here. Although, indoors, garbage time, you never know.
RG3?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. New England and Tennessee. For New England, I like Stephen Ridley and Brandon Lloyd. And for Tennessee, I like Nate Washington and Jared Cook. I think that they're going to be getting the lion's share of attention. There are some safe targets, I think, for Jake Locker in the atmosphere he's going to be facing.
Again, Tennessee will be throwing late as well.
Yeah, that's true.
That's something I always look with receivers as a team. Are they likely to get garbage points? Yeah, that's when receivers, to me, can really rack up the bulk of their points. How many times have you seen your score just moving and moving with that receiver?
Right.
You know, those bad teams that just start throwing late because they're down, and then they just rack up the yards, get that give-me touchdown.
That happens, yeah. Minnesota and Jacksonville, one of the worst fantasy games of the year. For me, Minnesota's all out. For Jacksonville, I don't know. First game for Justin Blackmon, I realize he could not be in a more garbagey circumstance, but he's such a special player. I just have a sense he's going to have a memorable debut.
What about Jennings, the running back?
I don't like him.
Okay.
Don't like him under the circumstances. I don't think much of Minnesota's defense, but I don't think much of Jennings, and that kind of equals itself out.
Certainly don't play. You never play either quarterback under 86. I can't imagine a situation where you're ever stuck playing Blaine Gabbert or Christian Ponder unless you have an injury and it's a bye week.
And if they're your number one and number two quarterbacks, God help you.
Yeah.
Houston and Miami. The ones that I like in this game, I like Reggie Bush for Miami. And even though he's the quiet man of the offense here, and he's somebody that I've touted in the past as a sleeper who's never really come through in this offense, God help me, for whatever reason, I like Kevin Walter this week.
What about Daniel Thomas on the Miami side?
I thought about him. I think it's going to be a little bit easier for Miami to get Bush loose under the circumstances. Thomas is more of a conventional weapon, and I feel like Houston's defense is going to be more ready for him.
Okay.
Detroit and St. Louis. The guys I like in this game, I like Bradford. I told you before, I thought that St. Louis could be a live dog under the circumstances. I like Brandon Pettigrew for Detroit. I think that he's going to be due to take another step forward this year, and that this week could be a good part of that.
I could see a lot of points scored in this game, especially late. St. Louis, again, they'll be down, they'll be throwing. Question is, does Bradford, who's he going to hit?
Yeah. That's a good question. He still needs help in the receiving.
Steven Jackson, what's your opinion on Steven Jackson here?
Steven Jackson is he's not well. He's on the every week list that I have here, and I don't see the special circumstances.
Okay, I didn't know, because I was saying the thing is, I just think they're going to have to go away from the run kind of early. I mean, you're right. Steven Jackson, you probably do start every week, but it's not a real favorable match.
Yeah, it's not great, but there's a lot of weeks during the season where you got to grit your teeth and hope for the best. A game where you and I comically and famously disagree on the outcome, Atlanta, Kansas City. I like Dwayne Bowe for Kansas City. For me, it's an all-in week for Atlanta, which means simply that you play Tony Gonzalez, because I have their other two wide receivers, their running back, and their quarterback as every week starters.
A return home, by the way, for Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah.
It'll be a very special game. I'm sure they'll probably target him in the end zone. I say that.
They will.
Yeah, I bet you they would.
I think they certainly will. Green Bay, San Francisco. Frank Gore, for me, just misses the point of being an every week play, but I think he's a good play here. I like Randy Moss also, too. I think they're still figuring out what they're going to do. I think week one is a week where they're really going to be looking to get him involved in the offense. For Green Bay, again, like Atlanta, all it takes is one additional player on their offense to make them an all-in play, and for them it's Cedric Benson, who's not an every week play on our list, but I like him this week.
The 49ers defense, did they overachieve last year, do you think?
A little bit.
Okay. I would say, by the way, Here's something that we haven't talked about when breaking down this matchup. Alex Smith versus Aaron Rodgers. Whoops.
Yeah.
For San Francisco.
That's true.
Whoops.
Yeah, that's a big one right there, and that's a big edge. Carolina, Tampa Bay. I do like Doug Martin for the Bucs. By the way, I was here's a
Joe
joke.
Martin's like every cool guy, fancy guy sleeper it seems this year. I root for LeGarrette Blount personally.
Here's a joke for people who either live in the Cleveland area or can get STO or any Cleveland areas on satellite outside of the area here. We were joking about this at the draft the other night. Somebody needs to name their team Doug Martin Superstore.
Oh, that's good.
That would be a very good one, yeah. For Carolina, I like Brandon LaFell, and I think with Jonathan Stewart being a little bit banged up, this is a good opportunity to play D'Angelo Williams if you got him.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and obviously he's on your must-play list, but Cam Newton destroyed Tampa Bay in 2 games last year. Destroyed them.
He's going to be strong for them again here. Seattle and Arizona, I already said that Arizona would be an all-out play with any of their marginal players. For Seattle, liking the battery combo of Russell Wilson in his first NFL start and Sidney Rice.
Sidney Rice, people expect things from him. It's tough with...
Part of it's health with him, as always.
Yeah, with Arizona, God, that's a tough team fantasy-wise. Like, I didn't like Larry Fitzgerald this year because I just don't know who... I mean, granted, he's got to play him, but God, that quarterback situation makes me nervous about him.
Yeah, with them being an all-out play, we're saying Fitzgerald's the only guy you play. You obviously don't bench Fitzgerald, but yeah, don't like anybody
Michael
else.
Floyd, no-go here?
No, I don't like him yet. Gotta see what he does. Kind of a wait-and-see situation. Denver and Pittsburgh, very interesting matchup here. Liking both of the quarterbacks as plays, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger.
Okay.
Additionally, tight end Tammy for Denver, and Antonio Brown for Pittsburgh.
Good, I have Antonio Brown on my team. I'm very excited to hear that then.
Yes, you can play him with a clear conscience, my son.
Okay, I'm very excited to hear that.
Okay, go forth and play Antonio Brown. All right, the Monday night games: Baltimore, Cincinnati. Liking the law firm here, Green Ellis for the Bengals, and for Baltimore, liking Flacco and Torrey Smith. Torrey Smith, who interestingly went
he's that feast or famine guy.
Early 3rd round in one of my drafts, and then 7th round or late 6th round the next. It was funny.
Torrey Smith is that guy who, to me, gets you 2 catches for 80 yards.
Yeah,
that's what he's been. They expect more out of him this year. I don't know. I may take a little umbrage with the law firm here. I don't like running backs against Baltimore.
I generally don't, but I think that he's going to have some opportunities here, and he's got a decent enough nose for the goal line. I could see a situation where maybe he gets a vulture touchdown here for the Bengals.
Gotcha.
That's, I guess, more what I'm looking at. And then the last one on the slate here, San Diego, Oakland. Liking Hayward Bay for the Raiders, just because of some of the other flux in the Raider receiving corps at the moment. And Floyd and Meacham for San Diego. They're both jostling to be top dog in this offense, and I kind of like them both as long as the spotlight's on them and they're fighting for it.
Okay.
Liking that. Top 5 plays for the week. Let's see what you think here. My top 5 overall marginal plays for the week. Start with a guy who is marginal as far as being marginal. He comes close to making that every week list. I think he was on it last year for at least part of the season, and I could easily see restoring him to that list at some point this season. Dwayne Bowe, like him definitely. Peyton Manning, ditto again if his neck holds up. I'm most concerned about that through the course of the season. D'Angelo Williams, who again with Jonathan Stewart being banged up, is going to have a better opportunity than usual this week. Brandon LaFell, one of my fantasy sleepers for this year, who I very much like. And Brandon Lloyd, who is not even really a sleeper at this point because everybody seems to like him, going back to New England and playing for Josh McDaniels again in that Patriot offense. So those are the 5 guys I like the most. Okay.
I like those. I have a couple questions for you.
Yes.
Did my draft recently, and both of my questions revolve around receivers.
Okay.
Number 1, how natural is it, or let me rephrase, how scared should I be that I am carrying on a 15-man roster that includes 1 kicker, 1 defense, mandatory tight end, so there's only 12 spots left. Other than that, I have 3 running backs and 7 receivers. Our bench, there's no obligation. You have to have a select set group of starters, obviously, but the bench can be a combination of anything. I only have 1 reserve running back.
Okay.
My running backs are Jamal Charles, Michael Turner, C.J. Spiller. is the reserve.
That's funny because your starting backfield is the same as mine in one of my leagues.
Okay. And I'm nervous with Charles coming off the injury and Turner, with the wear and tear. But I have 7 receivers. Is that natural? I found as I kept going on the draft that there were a lot of guys who I viewed as impact players at the receiver. I'm like, well, I need a 4th running back, but I'm like, God, this receiver has so much higher of a ceiling.
Well, you always want to take value in a circumstance like that. Let me ask you, and this is, I'll start with the grasping at straws on your behalf counter question. Is this per any chance a league where maybe you can go 1 running back and flex to like 3 wide receivers or something? Do you have that option?
No, you have to start 2 running backs,
Okay.
and you start 2. Here's the thing. With the mandatory tight end now in our league, this is the first year we're doing that.
Okay.
It used to be a flex in the receivers. We only have 2 starting receivers and we have the same 2 starting runners. So I have 5 receivers sitting on my bench.
Yeah, that might be a little
Did I
excessive.
stockpile too much? But here's the thing. I've got Welker,
Okay.
Antonio Brown, Mario Manningham.
Okay.
I'm going to start Welker and Brown this week. Welker
All right.
is on your every list,
Yeah.
and Brown you recommended, so I'm kind of going with you. So I'm going to lead into my second question now. I took 4 rookie wide receivers.
All right.
Who has the better year out of these 4?
Okay.
Blackman, who you said you liked, I
Yeah.
him. Stephen Hill of the Jets. Alshon Jeffrey of the Bears. And my super sleeper, he was the 3rd to last pick of our entire draft.
Okay.
T.Y. Hilton, Indianapolis Colts. You talk about a hipster pick.
I'll rank them. I might like Hilton a little bit better than Hill. I love Hill long term, but Hilton maybe because of the situation he's in. As far as the other 2, I would say I like Jeffrey second. He has the chance for some production this year, and I would say first certainly Justin Blackman.
Okay.
Worst situation in the bunch, but most talent. Hill is still a developmental guy. Hill can't give the Jets the punch that they need for this year. If you were looking to jettison anybody at this point in time to pick up a running back, I might perhaps look in that direction. You are going to need some more depth at running back. You're going to have bye week situations to look at also as well. Like you said, God help you if there's any injuries there.
You gotta. I hope Charles. By the way, Charles and Turner playing against each other on that famous matchup.
They are,
Atlanta,
yeah.
Kansas City.
Yeah, they are, and it'll be very interesting to see. By the way, as far as depth at positions and everything like that, the other thing that we like to do is to let you know as far as if you are in flex leagues out there every week, what the positional depth looks like between running backs and wide receivers. There's 16 running backs presently on the every week playlist, 14 wide receivers. Having said that, 12 additional running backs this week, 18 wide receivers added to that. So that gives you, my rudimentary grasp of math says, 32 wide receivers worthy of being played this week, 28 running backs. So it's marginally better for you to play a wide receiver. Again, all things being equal in that. As far as depth of the other positions, 7 tight ends as every week plays, 5 additional tight ends this week, so 12 total. That's not bad if you're in a 12-team league. Hopefully you are. If you're not in a 12-team league, at least grow some hair down there and get in one, because you shouldn't be in less than a 12-team league. We definitely would like to, we definitely want to encourage that. Quarterbacks, 8 quarterbacks on the every week list and 5 additional we're recommending this week for 13. So you're starting to see how we roll here with the FantasyDraftHelp.com insider, Kyle. I see that you're appreciating it already. I'm in the lecture my own partner Jason Jones sometimes on drafting in 10-team leagues or whatever.
That's always so pansy-ish, 10-team leagues.
I understand he loves to
10's
draft.
okay.
He's a real degenerate. He'll get in dozens of drafts in the course of a season.
I saw him post on Facebook. He said he's like, hey, does anyone else have a league that I can care about? I'm in 30-something leagues. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, what are you smoking?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
That was it. I was there are a lot of bizarre Facebook posts I see every day.
Yeah.
Some from mutual acquaintances. But that one took the cake from your boy Jay Jones.
Yeah, that was truly amazing. But any concluding thoughts for week 1 on the fantasy? Anything we didn't hit sufficiently?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, as we always tell everybody, and again, we've got it online for you there. Fantasy Football Draftology 2012 available on the main page at FantasyDraftHelp.com. Good for checking and consulting during the course of the season, going back and taking a little bit of look. with it. And again, I've been doing a lot of the fantasy commentaries solo over the course of the past year, so this is great to be able to break it down with you. And I always leave here as my closing line here for everybody. Go break off a little value on your opponents. We'll catch you next week.
As we bring the show to a close, we would like to extend our deepest gratitude to NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, all Clear Channel affiliates, TNT, TBS, USA, UPN, Deadspin.com, YouTube.com, YTMND.com, MySpace.com, various blogs, Fox News, CNN, CNBC, MSNBC, IamBoard.com, Billboard.com, Google.com, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN News, ESPN Classic, NBA TV, NFL Network, Sports Time Ohio, Athlon Magazine, Comedy Central, Cartoon Network, The Boomerang Channel, QVC, BET, The Spice Channel, Steno Notebooks, Manwich, Papermate Office Supplies, waitresses, strippers, bartenders, garbage men, janitors, microwave popcorn, the writers of The Office, Scrubs, Entourage, My Name is Earl, Oz, Metalocalypse and the Boondocks, Aquafina, and the Periodic Table of Elements.